Hi, friends and family,
Welcome to Hope After Addiction
with your hosts, Katie Comer.
and Chelsea McLeod.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year, friend.
We are so happy that you've joined us today for a special episode. I'm just so thankful for the new year, 2024, man.
It'll take me about 6 months to get used to writing that one.
Yeah, come June, it'll be fine.
Yes,
You're
that's
fine.
right. So it'll be 2023 till June.
1/1/24. I mean, that's just crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it crazy? Older people, they're always like, life gets quicker the older you get.
Yeah.
And I feel like every year,
Yeah,
I'm like, it's another year has
Yeah.
gone by already? How?
I know.
And it's
it does,
such
though,
a truth.
It gets quicker as you get older, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, which is sad. I mean, it makes me sad,
Yeah.
because but also I'm ready for eternity, so
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, but 2024, it's going to be a good year, right? I mean, it's going to be so good. So
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited. So today,
Yeah.
did you want to say anything?
No.
Okay. So today we are going to be just talking about the new year and what that looks like for just like a refresh, if you will.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of a new year banter.
Yes.
But we did this last year.
Yeah.
I kind of looked back at some of my notes
Yeah.
from last year, making sure my words are the
Yes.
same.
Yep.
But I was just kind of thinking about what's your phrase for this new year, or what's a good word for
Yeah.
your life
Yeah.
for the new year. And we did this, like I said, we did this last year. I thought it was just so cool. And we're going to do it again. And
Yep.
we're going to talk about what God's kind of, we are hoping that God will teach us.
Yeah.
So yeah, just talking about maybe just some encouragement for you as you're entering the season of the new year with maybe just a lot of new stuff going on in your life with maybe your loved ones in rehab or just getting out of rehab, kind of what that looks like for you. And just a lot of newness when we're talking about the new year. So
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yep. And I was thinking this year just about, I love to write and I've been bad at it since I've had Jasper, but with Thanksgiving. Like Thanksgiving is such a precious day to make us realize what we have to be thankful for, but it's also just another day. But I love that it puts into perspective one day what we have to be thankful for. And same thing with the New Year's. And so many people are like, I don't do resolutions. And that's not what this is about. It's a day, it's entering into a new season, a new year. This is not about resolution. It's about being introspective of the last year and what we want to take into the next year. What qualities that we want of Christ that we want to work on. What things we want to work on that bring us closer to God, closer to the person that he wants us to be.
Yeah.
And so I think it's good to see where we were weak in the last year and where we want to be stronger in this next year.
I like that.
I was thinking my paper's still up on it. I said it last year, but my word was renew for last year. And so I wrote out a whole paper of the things that I wanted to renew in my life. Like be better at serving your men, be better like the boys in my house. Of course, that didn't sound right.
All the men.
All the men. But I had this whole list of things and I put it on my mirror so that every day I could be renewed in that. And I do. I feel like I failed in many ways at that. But God also reminded me every day of where I can renew in his word, in my mind, areas that I struggle with, and being a servant and being a friend, So many areas that I struggled, but many that I still grew in. So how was your word for last year?
I have to go back to it.
That's okay. That's okay. Do you feel like that you grew in it, or?
I have to remember my word, though.
That's
Hold
true.
on.
You're like, hold on, I'll find it.
Chelsea, you asked me a question I didn't know.
No. Well, and this is another one for words. I'll say this while she's finding it, but I like to do a personal word, but also a family word. So we always say that where there's no vision, there's division in families and in couples and in marriages. And so it's something to be important while you're thinking through this is think about your word, but also vision with your family, with your husband, with your spouse, with your kids, whoever it may be, and just decide like what you want as a word for your family as well. Did you find it?
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said, but yeah.
That's okay. I was thinking
Amen.
Family words. Yes. Amen, as John would say.
My word from last year.
Yes.
I actually was looking at it last night, and
Yeah.
I just forgot
You're
what
like,
it was.
It's okay. It was an on-the-spot question. That's why.
Because I feel like I wanted to make sure that I wasn't saying the same thing, because this word we talk about a lot, and so I wanted to make sure that I was doing myself a service and making sure I was consistently doing it. But my word was surrender. Yeah,
It's a scary one to pick, just FYI.
Yeah, surrender.
It's a great one.
Overcome. But yeah, I feel like I did a good job. I think those both are words that is like something you have to consistently work at. And I don't think I'm finished with that, obviously.
Never.
It's one of that you're I'm trying to think of the word, I'm getting stumped, but you're consistently trying to always surrender.
Yep.
And so I think I did a pretty good job at that. Different things happening in my life last year, I feel like I gave it and surrendered it to the Lord. But I think that there's always room for improvement. And
always.
I think that, so I think I did a good job. But
no, that's a good one. That was my word 2 years ago. And I had to surrender a lot that year. Yeah. Even us full-time missions in Ecuador, being a mom, maybe it was 3 years ago. There was so many things, and I'm like, God, I don't know if I should have chosen this word, but man, did he grow me that year. Like, it was so good. Yeah. It was so good. So, do you have your word for this year yet? Do you?
So yeah, I had been thinking about it. I was kind of looking up some stuff about what kind of spoke to me, So yeah, I have a couple, just like I did last year. I had a couple. Do you mean to say
I love it. Yeah, tell me.
I'll say one.
Okay.
For right now. Okay. Intentionality, or being intentional.
Oh yeah, that's such a good one. Yeah.
I think that I do okay at it, but I think sometimes I put a mask thinking that I do better than I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to be more intentional, like for real.
Yeah.
For real. And when I say that, I had like some stuff that I feel like God was speaking to me with being more intentional. Yeah. Just with friends and with my time with them. And going out of my way to be intentional with my time with them and what they're going through. Yeah. Intentional with just my time in general. With me being a stay-at-home mom, my kids are in school a lot. Just being intentional with my time and using it for His glory. And like I said, I feel like I do okay. I'm a big yes person when it comes to a lot of stuff, like doing this podcast and but just being more intentional with my time. But the number one thing was just intentional with my time with the Lord. Yeah. And I think that for everybody, that's something that we can always work on. But I don't want it just to be, I feel like sometimes I just do it as like a check. All right, check. I got that done, And I feel like I've kind of been in that place for maybe even a few years, just where like, it's almost like, okay, I've gotten enough to where I can get by. Yep. Right. And feel like, all right, the Lord's got me. I feel like I'm in a good place with the Lord, whatever. But I want to be more intentional, which also brings me to my other word. But I just want to be more intentional with my time. Yeah. And like dig in deep this year with what the Lord has for my relationship with Him. Yeah. So
it's such a good word, because the culture we live in today tries to steal that from us. Yeah. And if we're not intentional, then everything else can rob us of that intentionality with the people around us and for His kingdom. Yeah.
So I think that the Lord was just really speaking that when I was just kind of like preparing for this and just reading on some stuff. I just felt like that word, and that was actually that word. I was actually taking a shower, maybe too much. But it's fine.
That's the thinking time. It's like the best thinking time.
It's fine.
Yeah, no interruptions.
Actually came up into my mind, and I was like, that's a weird, thing to think about. It might have been before we talked about what we're going to be talking about. Anyway, so that word came up, and then as I was like looking through like different words for the year, that word popped up, and I was like, okay, God.
That's it.
I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I need to be more intentional. Yes. And so it's not enough just to get by through the day, and not enough just to mark your check that you read your Bible or, So. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, and that's another part, and I have it on my list for today, but pray about it, because God will give you the word, because he knows what's coming this year. We don't. And that's in this, is we have no idea what's going to come to us this year.
That's right.
My surrender word that year, I had no idea what all I was going to have to surrender that year, but he did. And so when he gives you that word, even in the shower, no matter where you're at, like, listen to that, because God has this. Pray about that. He will tell you, he will confirm for you. You got the word, he confirmed it. Pray about it, because he will give you an area that he wants you to grow in. He puts that desire on your heart, but when he gives you that word, that's what he wants you to grow in.
Love that.
Yeah, so just pray and seek that, and God will show you what word.
And I'll go and share with you my second word, because I said it kind of led to
that
word. But as I'm being more intentional and really diving in deep with the Lord, or diving in my friendships and being more intentional with them, but specifically more the Lord, and making it more of an intentional time, my second word was captivate. Like, I just want him to, like, completely captivate my heart.
Yes.
You know?
I love that.
And sometimes I feel like, just being vulnerable with you all, but sometimes I feel like I just walk around like I'm a believer. You know, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. I love the Lord.
Yep.
Yay. And that's great. And I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to walk around with a captivated heart, where people look at me and be like, man, there is something different.
Yep, there's fire in her.
Right?
Yeah.
And I just want him, when I wake up in the morning, like I do, and I pray this, like, I want to wake up in the morning and that it's just all consuming, right?
Yes.
And it's not the first thing I don't think of is, what do I have to do for the day?
Right.
But
like, you hunger to run straight to that. Yeah.
So I feel like captivate is my other word, and I can't wait. And I hope, and I can't wait for next year, 2025.
I know.
Be
We're
like,
almost there.
man, God just, like, captivated my heart this year. And I just cannot wait.
I know.
I get excited thinking about it, because I know that the Lord has put that on my heart.
Yeah.
Because he put the word intentional.
Yeah.
And what does that lead to?
Yeah.
A captivated heart. So.
Yep. Well, and here goes this too that I was thinking about this morning, is how many times, and I talk about this often, but does it say, because she believed I did? And so if you're believing for a captivated heart and an intentional life this year, that's what God's going to give you. You're believing for that.
Yeah, I do.
And, like, believe in that he's going to captivate, but you're positioning yourself for that.
I love that.
And I say the new year, what the new year brings to you will depend a lot on what you bring to the new year. So it's like you positioning yourself to be captivated every morning.
Yes.
Like, you know, do we run first thing to our phone, or to the list of things we need to do, or to the phone calls, or do we run straight to Jesus, where he can captivate our hearts? So I think that's what's special too about this, is positioning us where we want to be, where nothing else can come in between that. Like, nothing else can take that from us. Like, you are believing for being captivated.
Yeah.
I'm like, how special is that? I know.
I
love
I'm
that.
believing it.
That's
to
a
be true,
really good word
because
too.
I really do believe that the Lord has brought those words to me. And so, those are my words.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
year.
I love that. And I think, even like I said, I think when you were looking, but we always say with marriages and our pastor, it's where there's no vision, there's division. And it's the same thing with our lives. If we have no vision for our life, there's going to be division and wreaking havoc, because of the world we live in today. So if we have a vision and the things that we want to hold to this year, there's going to be a path towards it.
Yeah.
Because if we don't have that, our world's divided with everything that's pulling at us constantly.
Love that.
And that's important. Yeah.
What about you?
I have not gotten confirmation, but I think that this is it, but it's abide. To dwell, remain, be present, and to be held and kept. And so there's a lot of things coming this year, which I'll share soon enough. But I think also being a mother of a toddler, it's something that I've struggled with, is being able to abide in his presence, because I'm constantly pulled in a million different directions, which is my greatest blessing. But I don't get to sit like I did for 34 years by myself and have that just abiding moment with God. And so I think going in this new year, and I really have put social media away, and I'm putting away the things. And even when I'm outside, I just want to abide in him. Like, I just want to sit in his presence. I want to sit at his feet, whatever that may look like. Even if it's with Jasper, I want to abide with him. Even if it's with John, I want to abide with him. I just want to sit in it, soak it in, take it all in, and just have, I guess, because it was between like simplicity, abide, all of that. I just want simpler truer, real substance, you know, with his word, with my relationships, as a mom, all of it.
Yeah, I think that that's so good because I feel like as a mom, really as a human,
Yeah.
but I mean, as a mom,
Yeah.
just because I get you and I
Yeah.
get me being a mom, yeah, your mind goes in different directions and all constantly.
Yeah.
And where do you focus your attention? And,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. And I think that's so beautiful to like really get,
Yeah.
you know, and just, yeah, I think abide is a great word. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's seasonal. Like this season that we're in as mothers, but it's also, I want to be intentional about abiding in.
Yeah. Not just the word, which is so important, but like you said, when you're with your time with Jasper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And just being his mom in that moment.
Yep.
And being John's wife.
Yep.
You know, and being
Just
in that
abiding.
moment.
Yeah.
And not being like, oh, but I got to do this.
Yeah,
and do
there's
all
a
this and
million
do
other
this.
things. Yeah.
You know, I get that. So.
Which is special. And I think, y'all know I love gardening and nature. And but I think about that, how there's a growing phase, there's a resting phase, and there's a phase when everything is shed. You know, and I look at that as our seasons, like how we've kind of, as the year ends, we're kind of in that shedding phase. Like I'm going to shed off what I don't want from the last year.
Okay.
And I'm going to enter into this new season where we're going to grow. God's going to grow us this year. And sometimes it's scary because we have no idea what that looks like.
Yeah.
It could be from a huge trial. I mean, there's no telling what this year holds. And I was thinking about that. I was like, 365 new days, 12 new chapters, and I have no idea what each chapter is going to be called. I have no idea what's coming. But I do know God's going to be there. And I do know he's going to walk me through every 365 day. But I want to have that vision, and I know that we're going to grow this year. Yeah. I know that your garden's going to blossom, and new lessons and new sanctification, and everything's going to, it's made new.
I love your analogies.
I'm such a visual. I have to have, I'm such a visual.
Always gardening analogies.
Yeah, right. You should see me driving down the road. Yeah. I have a blog about peacocks and God one day, because every day I'd look for the peacocks. And one day I looked up and the peacocks are up. And I'm like, how many times do I look here for God? And literally he's right here.
Yeah.
The peacocks were right there. I have a whole blog about it.
That's so good. Yes.
He gives me the greatest lessons in the farm country.
I mean, I laugh, but I like legitimately think that they're so good.
Well, thank you.
So my dad, he was a pastor for like 30 something years, and he was known as the metaphor man. Like he had like different metaphors. So kind of like that, where it's like, he just always had that. So I get that because I'm a visual person too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that is so genius.
Yes.
But I don't know anything about the growing, resting, shedding phase. I know nothing about gardening, but I think that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another blog about that, living in farm country and learning all the rotation crops and how it's actually a really good blog if you want to read it.
Yeah,
but I'll have to find the name. It's on my website.
Maybe we can put it underneath your name.
That's a good idea. Because it talks about like even when the corn's growing, like we kind of like the new year, the corn's growing, it's up. We have no idea where we're going, but then it's cut down and we see all the beauty and we've got the fruits from it.
It's so good.
So it's kind of exciting and scary.
Shedding right now.
We are shedding
And
the
we're
old.
about to grow.
Yep.
Love that.
I think another thing that just for the new year is to declare a verse over your year. Pick a verse.
Okay.
I mean, you can go to Jeremiah 29:11 for, I know the plans I have for you are to prosper you and so that when you do go through storms, you have that foundational verse that says, this is what God gave me for the year.
That's my life verse.
Let God, I know. It's so true. Even when we don't understand it.
I know. That's good. I'm not thinking about mine.
Yeah. And the family word. That's a big one.
Okay.
Sit down as a family and talk about it.
I love that.
Yeah. Because that's another big.
Do you have a family word yet?
Not yet. That's one thing we're actually going to get to go away in a few weeks, and I want to sit and us talk about when we have some stillness.
All three of you?
We are, yeah.
Aww.
Finally, yeah.
That's
yeah.
so
I'm
fun.
excited. So finally,
Okay.
yeah. So we're going to sit down and ponder on that, on what we want God to show us for the year.
Good.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of an encouragement for you all. Yes, I do encourage one to find like a word for you this coming year. And then like Chelsea said, maybe a verse. That's something I'm going to challenge myself to do over the next couple weeks, to find a verse for myself. And then a family word. I think my kids are even getting older, that they might even appreciate that, to kind of come together and find a family word, because we haven't done that ever.
Be
So
fun.
that's good.
Yeah.
And then just to encourage you all also, in the season that you're in, obviously, if you're listening to this, you're maybe in just like a difficult season, right? Difficult season, whether your loved one is in rehab, out of rehab, or you're desperately wanting them to be in rehab, just through, because of addiction. And so we encourage you all this year to really take care of yourself. We talk a lot about it, and it can start with these things that we've been talking about. Just speak truth over yourself, speak life, and find these words. But there's some practical ways that you can take care of yourself. And we've talked about self-care a lot, but it's so true to get you through the season. And addiction is just so difficult on the loved one. Oftentimes you neglect yourself. And so for this new year, we plead with you to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Make sure that you're in the Bible, reading the Bible, just grasping at the truths that he has for you. Focus on yourself. Go get your hair done. Go make that appointment. Go get your nails done.
Yeah.
Just make even just a shower.
Yeah.
And I know
it's
that
true.
sounds ridiculous, but I remember, I was just something, you know.
You
'cause
get
I
in a
just
pit.
don't.
Yeah.
You do. You get in a pit. It's like in a depressive pit. And so just go take that shower. You might need to do that. And just really letting go. And I know you hear this a lot, just like let go, let God. I mean, that's easy enough for us to say, but God has a plan. We say this a lot, but addiction does not surprise God.
No. True.
What you're going through does not surprise him. Let him lead you through it, and let this be a story in your life, and just a chapter. I know you were saying something that I thought was beautiful just a minute ago, but we have 12 chapters.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And so let this be a chapter, all right? And a part of your story that God's writing.
Yeah. And he's in the details.
Yes.
And pray for bold things. He doesn't want you to pray for your hamburger at dinner. Of course he does, but he wants you to pray. He knows the desires of your heart. Pray for the bold things. Pray for the debt to be released. Pray for the healing. Pray for the things that you know God can do.
Yeah. Pray it by name.
Yeah.
Right. And so that is something too. I was thinking about the word prayer too, when I was doing all this stuff, just being more intentional in my prayer time. That was something.
Yeah.
But yeah, praying specifically for things. I like that what you said about the hamburger. Yeah. But pray for your loved one by name. Pray specifically for your finances. God hears your prayers, and he wants you to pray it specifically. He wants you to pray it by name, and kick the devil in the teeth when you're praying about it, because the devil hates it. And what you're saying when you're praying is, devil, you are not going to win, and my God is mightier than you.
Yes.
And so that is what you're doing. You are kicking the devil in the teeth.
Yeah.
You're slicing them through.
good.
So
Gave me goosebumps.
yeah, that's right. I'll preach it.
Yeah.
So pray about it.
Yes, I love
Do you have
that.
anything else?
I think that's it. I just know that I'd rather try. What is that quote? It said, I'd rather try and fail than never try at all.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Just do it.
Yeah.
Believe
love
for it.
Believe that God has a plan for your life, and he has a plan for this new year. 2024 is your year.
Yeah.
It might seem very dark right now.
Yeah.
But the light is coming. It has for us.
Yeah.
There's still darkness
Oh, for
sometimes,
sure.
right, in
Yeah.
our life. But we're so thankful that we have walked through the darkness that you're walking through. I know that I am thankful for
me
that,
too.
as hard as it was, because we get to show you that there's light. We have people on our podcast that are still walking through the darkness. We have people on our podcast who, or we're wanting to have people on our podcast who've lost loved ones to addiction, who's seen the ultimate darkness in that. So we know that there is hurt, and we're not naive to that because we've walked it. But we also have seen the light, and we know that there is hope after addiction, and that's why we do.
Yep.
this podcast. So we hope that you found some encouragement today as you walk into the 2024 new year. And we hope and pray that you all have a great new year. And we're looking forward to this year. So if you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure that you're giving us a like and a subscribe. Share it with your friends and family. If you are seeing this on Instagram or Facebook, make sure that you like us as well and share it. That's kind of where we get some of our even topics for what we're going to talk about is by people messaging us saying, I don't really know how to deal with this. What do I do with this? So make sure that you're just being responsive about that. So thank you so much for listening to us today, and we hope that you have a great